Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. Hey everyone, thanks for being tuned in to KPOV 88.9 FM, your high desert community radio in Bend, Oregon. I hope you're having a good day. This is Stacey Dredd, Galactic Ambassador in the Cosmic Community, our astrology program here on KPOV every Tuesday, 4:30 to 5 p.m., where we dive into the week's planetary and lunar energies, how these energies may be influencing us, and also think about how we may be able to work within these cycles to live in more harmony with the universe and create a more benevolent life for all. Thank you so much for making time and space in your day today to receive this message. You can always share the archive of this program on the kpov.org website, the Cosmic Community show page, and you can share and listen to this show all the way up until next Tuesday when there is a fresh edition for you. So, getting into the week's astrological movements, we are just coming off of a couple of kind of bigger shifts within the energies. So last week, we had Venus enter a new sign that she works a little bit easier in, and then we also had Mercury station direct and start to make the movement out of the shadow of his retrograde. So these are both personal planets. The inner planets, Venus, Mercury, Mars, very much known as the personal planets. They are a lot closer to the Earth, and so we feel the energies a lot more from these planets that are just closer to us. And so Venus entering a new sign last week, she left the sign of Virgo, which Virgo is a little more of a challenging energy for her. It requires Venus to be a little more focused on the details and can sometimes, bring on a few too many details that maybe Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and art, isn't so, interested in those really kind of nitpicky details. And so when she moves into the sign of Libra, and it's actually her home sign, she rules the sign of Libra, the sign of relationships. So Libra is sort of supercharged at this time because we have Venus, the planet that rules Libra, at home. And so she's very comfortable here. She's not afraid to ask for what she needs and to balance out, her needs and wants with the needs and wants of others. After all, that's what relationships are about. How do we work in these relationships so that everybody can live their most benevolent life? And so Venus is trying to find a balance here. She has been overwhelmed by too much thinking, too much thought in Virgo, with Mercury also in Virgo finishing up his time and stationed direct on just October 2nd, a couple of days ago. Stationed direct at 24 degrees of Virgo and is working his way back out into Libra. And so this shift from Virgo to Libra, it's like a breath of fresh air. Libra is an air sign, so it's like opening up a window, and allowing the breeze to move through and shift and change things. Mercury is our mental, it's our thought process. It's our thinking. And so in Virgo, Mercury also, do I say plagued really with mental action. And so, our greatest strengths can also be our great weaknesses too, when we feel a little bit out of control and unable to follow our thought patterns, unable to make sense of all the things that are going through our heads. And so Mercury will be moving out of Virgo not until October 14th. So we're still working within this realm of really Virgo style thinking. And we also have this Mercury in Virgo in a direct opposition with Neptune. Neptune is in his home sign of Pisces. Pisces is very much a spiritual energy. Pisces is a water sign. Water signs are very much connected to our emotions, to our feelings. And so Neptune is actually the ruler of the sign of Pisces, making the Pisces energy just really strong right now. So we have kind of this back and forth at the moment between all of this end of Virgo, beginning of Libra energy, and sort of this really almost confusing, deceptive Piscean, Neptunian energy. Neptune's in retrograde along with Jupiter. Jupiter's right nearby, just 3 degrees in within Aries and within 10 degrees of Neptune there. So Jupiter makes everything bigger when it comes into contact with things. So we've got Jupiter in there making all of this kind of bigger than maybe it's maybe being perceived as like there's something really big going on, and like I have to think about it and like figure it all out. And it's just the energy of this time right now, and this too shall pass. Mercury is doing a lot of deep diving right now. All of this, don't get me wrong, like thinking is not a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes we can get a little lost in it and not sure where our feet should touch the ground. And so, all this is really interplaying right now. There's like this back and forth between Pisces and Libra and emotion and relationships. And there's a lot of emotion in relationships right now. And it's just part of the astrology and part of what is happening here. But there's definitely some really good grounded energy that we can still access. I mean, after all, we have a pretty loose grand trine. It's still pretty loose, but it is a grand trine in earth signs. And so that means that if we do, put our intentions to finding at least a grounding point, like maybe we're not going to like find all the answers, but we can at least find something, a cornerstone, to kind of ground us to, that's really important right now. And that is totally accessible. The earth energy is still very strong with the North Node and Uranus real close together, right in the middle of the sign of Taurus. And we've got Pluto at the end of Capricorn, and then the Mercury in Virgo that I was just discussing. So those 3 earth signs definitely supporting each other right now. And hey, we got beautiful weather outside. Go ground yourself, go hug the tree that you like always walk past, and it just has always spoke to you. And it's like, oh, today I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna hug you. Or, take your shoes off in the park for 5 minutes on your lunch break or whatever, and make the most of it. Like really make the most of any kind of earth grounding energy that you can find this week, because moving into the astrology here in the first full week of October, we have in the first part of the week here a lot of lunar aspects. And what that means is that the moon, of course, moves the quickest around the zodiac and makes the most aspects out of anything. And so we had just earlier today, October 4th, I'm bringing this report to you. Today we have a trine. The moon is trining with Venus and has a sextile with Jupiter. And this is really good, positive trines and sextiles are the most I don't want to say like positive because that makes me think like the other ones are negative, but it's the easiest. It makes it easy, So, the moon making this beautiful trine with Venus and Jupiter making this big, today we can find a little bit of this juicy love we're looking for. 4 across all my clocks. Stacy Dredd, Galactic Ambassador here in the cosmic community, discussing the week's astrological events and how we may be able to work with these energies. And I just want to give a little special shout out to DJ Preet. He said some really nice things on his show a couple weeks ago and to me in person about how he's been using the astrological information throughout his week. And that is totally amazing. I love that because the more we know, that reminds me of like the reading rainbow thing from a long time ago. But, the more we know and the more we communicate and the more we discuss and the more open we are with everything, the better that it turns out, usually in my personal experience. But I'm a Sagittarius. I love being open and honest. And that is, a big part of me. And so, yeah, it just makes me feel really good to get some good feedback there from a buddy DJ. Of course, he is on the Rhythm Trip show. So he was just on from 2 to 4 o'clock today and love those world musical selections there. So, we have really a lot of lunar aspects coming into play early in the week. And then this weekend, we get a little more action. We got Pluto stationing direct on Saturday, October 8th, and a full moon in Aries at 1:55 p.m. on Sunday, October 9th. Oh my gosh. Last night on my show, the High Desert Co-op with Tristone, I accidentally said that we have the full moon in Scorpio coming up. I was a little ahead of myself. It's the full moon in Aries this weekend, and then the new moon in Scorpio at the end of the month of October. That's on the 25th. And that is our first eclipse. But this full moon that we're heading into this weekend on Saturday, it is also should be considered an eclipse energy. Aries is a huge energy, and it's also an initiating energy. So to me, a lot of the newest cycles that we are engaging with, the last 6-month cycles, the last of the eclipse cycles should be sort of completing, and now we are heading into a new cycle. And this full moon in Aries on Sunday is going to very much kick that off. The lunar events we have, though, in the week prior to that, on Wednesday the 5th, we have the moon coming into a conjunction with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. Saturn has been in the sign of Aquarius since the solstice of last year and has been doing this deep grind, reminding us of our responsibility to the people, reminding us of the tribes that we belong to and the groups of people that we appreciate being around that, help us to live this more benevolent life. Aquarius is a sign all about finding the people who support you and groups of people, organizations of like-minded individuals. And Saturn is like the planet of responsibility. And so these are a little bit clashing energies. Like you can find where they do connect, but Aquarius is very much a sign of freedom and wants chance to almost be free of responsibilities, where Saturn is like, oh no, you've got all these things that you need to take care of, and, don't get off track. So the moon is moving through this aspect. And so Wednesday the 5th into Thursday the 6th could feel, like we're taking care of our responsibilities, but that it's not as easy as we might want it to be. Saturn is retrograded also. So we could feel like this pull, like just heavy responsibility sort of in the middle of this week. But of course, it's all very fated because Saturn is in this ongoing square with Uranus. I talked about it all of last year. There was 3 direct squares between Saturn and Uranus. These are big, giant, opposing energies. Saturn is a planet of responsibility and taking things very seriously and being ambitious. And Uranus is about things just kind of spontaneously happening and not trying very hard, and like big explosive moments and big awakenings. And Saturn doesn't really like a lot of change. So we have been, over the last year and a half, already in a tug, push, pull between this Saturn and Uranus. So it's going to be aspected very strongly by the moon this week, and it's going to feel very fated. This week is very, very fated. And then on Saturday, October 8th, I mentioned we have Pluto stationing direct. Now, we just had Mercury station direct last week, and then we also had, let's just go back in my notes here, and yeah, well, that's, I guess, all that we have direct right now. I just want to make sure. So Mercury went direct, and then we have Pluto stationing direct on October 8th. Pluto is the slowest moving planet. So these can definitely be energies that we don't maybe feel like as like a big loud noise, but it's kind of like the dull aching. It's kind of like that dull noise, that kind of grinding thing that's always in the back of our minds. Pluto is always kind of scraping things up, stirring up the pot, reminding us that we need to put things away so that we can get new things out. Pluto is the death and rebirth cycle. And so very much these Plutonian themes been retrograde, and we've been working with these themes since April 29th of this year. And Pluto's in the sign of Capricorn and stationing at 26 degrees. So look in your own astrological birth chart. Take a look at 26 degrees Capricorn, the last few degrees of Capricorn. Pluto is moving through, and this is like, I believe they call it the anaretic degrees. When it gets to the last few degrees of a sign, you can really feel an intense desire to finish things up. Pluto takes 12 to 14 years to move through each sign. So we've been working with these Capricornian themes for the last 12 to 14 years, and we are like ready to move on. Capricorn is very much a sign of ambition, a sign of what legacy we are going to leave on this planet, after we are gone. Like Capricorn is like worried about the splash, that we're going to make. And so at the very end degrees here, Pluto's like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make sure I have this right? How am I going to make sure that I got this? And in that trine with Mercury right now, that Earth trine, that it's very easy to get. It's very easy with this trine to get lost in these thoughts, to allow Mercury to do what Mercury does best and dive into the underworld, go into contact with the gods, and come back with the messages that he has for us. So, wow. I mean, whatever, we've been working with since since about April, if there's something that's been very much coming up, just something that it's like, hey, I need to be done with that. That's that anaretic degree that we're feeling. Pluto really kind of like saying, all right, this is it. Like, we got to do something now or else. And that's your choice. Do you have to do something now or else? That's how you get to decide how you work with these energies. How long have you been working with these themes? Is this something that you feel like you can move on from easily? Is it something that you feel, just diving into all of these really deep themes? It doesn't seem very easy, but Pluto is, like I said, it's kind of like a background noise. So this is all stuff that's like taking place in the background. Our full moon on Sunday at 16 degrees of Aries. Whoa. This full moon is conjunct let me make sure that I I get this right here. The moon is conjunct Chiron in Aries, highlighting our inner wounds, our sensitivities right at this full moon time. And the sun is in a conjunction with Venus, very much our relationships, our love, our trust, our value. Those are all, Venus themes. And so we have an opposition here between the moon and the wounded warrior and the sun and the goddess of love in Libra. And so this Aries moon tends to be pretty instinctive. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It represents instincts. Aries are the most instinctual people because that is what's represented. It's impulsive too, because that's just Aries. They're like the little newborns. They don't have to think before they do stuff. They just cry. They can't help themselves. And Aries is very much can sometimes end up with us acting before thinking. So make sure that your actions are, well thought out over the weekend. We could definitely feel like a little defensive because our wounds and our inner sensitivities are going to be like out on our sleeves. And then on Monday, October 10th, we have Mercury finally leaving the sign of Virgo, moving into Libra, and going to help us to sort of balance out all of these thoughts that we've had. So no more of this. Hopefully, by the end of the week, we get through the racing thoughts, and get to finally move into a realm of a little more balance. So yeah, this week it really just builds up into the weekend, the big full moon on the 9th, and then next week, I'll be back on Tuesday, the 11th. Next week, we finally have Mercury leaving shadow phase. So we'll be able to move on from there and continue on into the beautiful month of October. So I hope you all have a really good week. And if you have any questions or anything for me, you can email me at thecosmiccommunity@kpov.org. And this is Stacy Dredd, the Galactic Ambassador, checking out. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.